Welcome, everybody. Welcome to another chapter in this never-ending saga of tyranny, where we, the freedom fighters, the freedom faces of America, band together in our fight against the mass Nazis, the tech bullies, the gullibles, and save our nation from turning into an Orwellian nightmare. Orwellian nightmare. That's what it is indeed, folks. As we liberate the what about Bobs of the world, that's what's turning into this country. That to liberate them from bondage. So, here we are. Another installment. What's in the hopper today? Let's see. Lots. Quick story. Just want to brief everybody on the mentality of people. There was a study. I need to pull it up. Of course, I'm ill-prepared. What else is new? But there was a study on millennials. They are about their feelings on coronavirus, and they also did a study on an older generation of people. About, I would say, probably my age and up, in 40s through, 70s, 80s. And there was a consensus amongst the older generation that they don't care. They feel that first, most of their answers were basically they don't even think that this virus is deadly at all, as much as people are saying, and that they have very little concerns about dying, and if they were to die, they felt that they are going to die anyway. Then the millennials, on the other hand, they are scared to death that they're going to drop dead upon infection, which is ludicrous because they have such a less chance of death, and as far as the transmission rate amongst them is one thing, but the rate of severity is so low. I mean, it's like point something. It's like 0%. I don't remember the numbers. Again, ill-prepared. But, I mean, let's put it this way. They have a better chance of getting struck by lightning than dying from this thing. Yet they're the most concerned. Case in point, the masked Nazis. They continue their bully tactics everywhere I go. I seem to only get harassed by these youngsters. I was in the supermarket the other day, and I was in the self-checkout because I didn't want to contaminate some poor soul cashier and kill her, and because I wasn't wearing a mask, and since I wasn't wearing a mask, death is just going to pour out of my nose and my mouth. It's going to kill you, like, instantly. And ringing up my stuff with my wife. Her mask was around her chin as usual. I don't know what this is. This is some kind of a chin guard, says Cuomo. And I just felt this scowl, and then I felt the radiation from the heat from her eyes, and I looked over, and she's like, she didn't have one of these. She had like a homemade doily, but I just saw fucking, it's a joke. It's just a joke already. And we had some produce, and it needed to be approved by somebody. Said, your product needs approval. So all of a sudden she runs over and got this little key scan thing, and she's like stepping in. She's like, could you please move? You don't have a... She didn't even finish a sentence. So I take a step back, and I'm looking at her. I'm like, like the word is excuse me, miss. But you see what's going on here? The point is the hatred. The hatred, the absolute, utter hatred that the left has for the right. This has become the biggest divide in this country. You're either on the side of masked Nazis or you're on the side of the freedom faces. This little piece of shit, millennial ass, fresh out of college, fucking Google-eyed, short, mogwai fuckface had the nerve to come over and treat me like a goddamn criminal, murderer, villain, like the worst darkness she's ever seen in her life because I want to show my face in public. I am sorry that I'm not covering my face. I must be the worst customer that ever walked into King Cullen supermarket. And King Cullen, by the way, has been pretty good to me, except for that little animal. There's always one or two. For some reason, they always seem to be women, and they always seem to be in their 20s. It's the Ayachs of the world. So, anyway, this will be a quick video because I'm actually testing out the technology. Finally got the sound bites down in a good way. So that's all working out. Oh, actually, it's a good light source, too, which the damn thing would stay on. But, basically, the COVID masquerade, as I call it. It's coronavirus, corona fascism, stupid 19. I have a million names. But this is the most important issue facing America right now. Not Black Lives Matter. That's another nightmare. This is the problem. And it's the mask Nazis. This is the control. This is what's practically crippling our economy. People can't even walk around freely anymore. You can't open a business freely. I mean, most people don't seem to understand the other side of this thing. It's like, well, why can't you just go in any store you want, wear a mask, and everything's all hunky-dory? Well, see, the thing is, this COVID masquerade, in my opinion, has fundamentally changed our country. It changed the nature of our society. Our minds have been conditioned to walking around with these pointless fomite magnets wrapped around our faces. We cling to them like a Captain America's shield. And all they do is protect us from perception, really. And it's another avenue for people to find a reason to fight with someone else. We don't need extra issues in our life. I mean, I should be able to walk around and embrace society and take cues from people's expressions. I mean, children also read people's expressions. That's all gone away. Our children who are learning to develop, they need to develop those keen instincts by taking cues from people's facial expressions. It's also, I had a good point I wanted to make. There's so many dangers involved too. Like, in fact, today I went into Dunkin' Donuts and the place smelled of gas. Like gas that comes out of a stove. The place could blow up. And the clerk, I know, like, if you're in a situation where you're smelling gas all the time, you sort of become desensitized to it. But on top of that, by having the mask on his stupid face, because every damn business, it seems, in New York, like, encourages, I guess. Well, whatever. The mandate says for all employees to wear masks. He didn't smell the gas. We don't look at all these other little aspects of the flip side of wearing masks, the dangerous side, aside from the health risks. They're saying robberies. Don't people usually wear masks when they rob a place? Now everyone's walking around in a mask. Anyone could be a criminal you don't even know anymore. Schools, as they open, suppose somebody was trying to kidnap a child and walks up to a child and says, oh, hey, mommy and daddy couldn't pick you up after school today, so they sent me. You can't even ID the person anymore. And then there's the health part, which I'm going to break it down very simply. This is going to be a very quick one, obviously, but I've said this numerous times. I don't think it's any surprise that the particles that spread in a coronavirus, it seems pretty clear by now that they travel via aerosols. But let's just say we don't know, aerosol or not. Take the aerosol argument. One coronavirus particle is equal to, if you don't know, it's called a micron, and it's 0.125 microns. And most cloth masks, if not all of them, with the exception of the N95 Well, actually, cloth masks are not going to really block much of anything. And the N95 mask could block up to zero point 0.3 microns, from what I have read and remember. Doing this by memory. And so, if you think about that, the particles are going to flow freely through the mask, in and out of your body. If there's this notion that the mask is collecting them like a filter, I mean, I think people are really getting stupid in this world. Like, they actually think that the particles are just going to collect on something and just sit there like this. Like, they are the size. You can't even see them without a microscope. It's the small. I can't even describe how small these things are. They're not going to just sit there and hang out. They're going to float. And if they got trapped by the fibers, they're going to make their way into your body and out again anyway. So all you're doing is blowing them in and out, and you're increasing the viral load as it goes further down into your respiratory system. And now you're becoming more infectious, and what's expressing out of your body is worse than what was going in the first place. So these masks are actually acting like a super agent for the virus. Now, the droplet argument, if they were to collect, let's think about that word collect for a second. They are clinging to the mask. And now, same thing, eventually you're going to suck that into your body, maybe not right away, but as more of them collect onto the outside of your mask, walking around the store, and it's on there, and then you got people touching it every minute. Now they're getting it on their hands, and then they take the mask off when they get in the car, and then they touch the steering wheel, and so on. There's that part of it. So I keep explaining to people two things. Aerosols pass freely through the mask. Droplets contaminate the mask. So bottom line, mask is not doing a thing. And for Christ's sake, we have not used masks in the history of viruses ever globally. I mean, or everywhere. Put it this way, we haven't used them as a solution. They've tried it, and it failed over and over again. So they stopped. Eventually, it was determined by even the CDC that masks have zero efficacy and are not a good use of containing or restricting virus spread. And if that does anything, it restricts airflow. I'm studying this whole mask thing. I'm reading a new book by Judy Mikovits and forgot his name, and I'll show you the cover. Again, this is a quick crash course video. I just want to do a little test and get you guys up to speed on what's going on. But that's it's just insane. I mean, we got to get this country back. Aside from the science part of it, I've explained the science part of it a billion times. But sometimes I don't spend enough time on the philosophical, the psychological, the mental, the social. There's so many other components here that I really want to delve deep into. We have just, like I've said at the opening of the show, we fundamentally have changed our society. Our country is not what it used to be. We are not a tough people. We're not strong. We are completely divided, and I don't even recognize this country anymore. I definitely don't recognize New York anymore. I mean, it's the progressives. They think like they're just so smart, and they just know so much that we never knew before. I mean, I grew up in a time when smoking was allowed in buildings and offices, and and I hate smoke. I hate it. But I mean, it's just ridiculous, the attack on even smokers. There's another thing where there's like zero proof that smoking causes cancer. I know people will be like, "What are you saying?" It used to say it on the package of the cigarettes, and they changed the verbiage. If you look at it, it said "may lead to." Very slick. This is science for you. It's been on a slippery slope for decades. It's at the worst I've ever seen. Like, you would think science was not up for debate. Now science has become the most debatable subject, and now everybody's got access to Googling this and Googling that. And I can't tell you how many debates I have on Twitter with these idiots. And there's so many different sides of these arguments, and it's amazing that you could find research that makes zero sense, and then find the complete opposite side of the argument that contradicts something that someone would bring to the table. Rather it's on masks, viral, anything with coronavirus, how it spreads, the virulence, the death toll. I mean, it's just so much spin, so much crap. But I do find when you dig and you use different resources besides Google, I even recommend people use, I got a search engine I use, SeerX, and what's the other one I use? Where did it go? There's a bunch of them out there, but you got to dig. Oh, Gibberoo. Let me bring it up here. Gibberoo, Gibiru. For example, if you Google the myths of asymptomatic spread of COVID-19, you'll never get any answers whatsoever. If you do that same search on Gibberoo or SeerX or maybe DuckDuckGo, you have to dig a little bit deeper, but you'll find some answers, you'll get some opinions, you'll get some science from real doctors, from real scientists, from real study groups all around the world. The information is out there, people. It really is. Another website I wanted to promote, and I don't get paid for this stuff, I'm just saying, Rational Ground. Great, it's displayed in such a great way that it gives you the pros and the argument for and against certain things. Like, for example, I'll just read this right out. It says, who gets COVID-19 matters much more than how many get it. Does that make sense? They make a big deal out of, it's spreading, there's millions of people getting it. And I've been saying the more spread doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing. It gets us closer to herd immunity is what it does. And it brings the death toll down, the IFR. So in this case, the screamers will go 438,000 new cases in Florida since June. That's the headline. Florida ramped up testing and has found... Right, and then when you do the digging, you find out that it was actually 181 cases of those 438,000 were all people 45 years and older. That's just one part of it. Out of that group, 4.3 thousand have died, and the average age was 78. If you dig even deeper, most of those people were going to die anyway. They were at or beyond life expectancy. And then many of them were well older than 78. And then 250,000 of those cases were under 45 years old, and only 166 people have died. One death is too many. I know we say that all the time, but really, 166 people out of 257,000 under the age of 45. And we don't even know how true it is. We don't, meaning like, we've been double counting deaths. We've been ruling so many things a COVID death, no matter what happens. If somebody goes into a hospital because they're having a heart attack and they happen to have coronavirus in their system, they get listed as a COVID death. So, anyway, that's just a quick rundown. I'll keep everybody informed. And, it's just, we got a journey ahead of us, people. We got to get the society back together. Just got to remember the old days. There was a time when people were tough and gritty, had a good time, and just didn't give a crap. We will get to those happy days again. Stick with me, and we will get through this, everybody. We'll get back to the real 20s.